We back and is this thing on? We're back and in a different angle, new angle unlocked. Woo! um, yeah, I very much intended to stream on Friday. And I think I did a community post about why I wasn't able to. Basically, my dog was sick. Poor thing had a lot going on. She's fine, but we had to take her to the vet and like do a lot to take care of her, which is part of the game. And yeah, we just like I barely slept Thursday into Friday, and then I really wanted to try to stream on Saturday or Sunday, but my body was like, we don't have it. We don't have it in us. We're too tired, too sleepy, too EB, even. Um, so I was like, I don't have it. I can't do it. And even today, I'm still tired today. I'm mostly doing this for the plot and for the love of the game, even. I just also like, I don't know if I'll ever really build consistency with this. I've never once been consistent in my life. I've been consistently inconsistent. I don't know if that counts at all, but probably not, I'm guessing. Uh, so yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get more consistent, and also life has been lifing a lot. I feel like everybody is just going through their own nightmares, and then we're all collectively in a nightmare. We're in a nightmare within a nightmare, um, which is a new one for me. It's very. I was about to say Freddy Fazbear. It's very Freddy Krueger. You wake from one nightmare and you wake into another one. Uh, um, but yeah, a lot's been going on, and I feel like so much happens in one day, or in like the span of a week, that it's like you lose track of everything, and then time just slips through your hands, and you're just like, how we were just it was just last week, now it's a month from now. Like, what is time? And time has always been very flat circle. Time's a flat circle and all that. But the flat circle is flat circling a lot these days. And I mean, I'll kind of talk about it later. I have a like semi full docket. Like, what? Docket is crazy to say, but I have a couple of topics, a handful of topics really, that I wanted to bring up and talk about. I don't know how long this will be. My last one was an hour, which surprised even me. Um, even though I'm not diagnosed autistic, but I am very much ADHD, and I believe my ADHD like kind of takes up all the attention from the autism. I'm pretty sure I'm on the spectrum. Can you tell? Is it obvious or no? But I feel like my ADHD is kind of like front and center and like, hey, hey, and then my autism is kind of like lurking from the back, like, I'm here, I'm here too. So the ADHD fuels like the yappage, like my ability to yap, and also allows me to hyper focus on things that I'm interested in. But then like after that, I will shut up. Like I either talk forever, and you're like, damn, you never shut up, or I'm silent. I'm almost entirely silent, and you're like, do you breathe? Are you alive in there? Like, do you have any thoughts? Um, so yeah, it's kind of all everything everywhere all at once. And yeah, I don't even know if I'll have the energy. I'm like, my seating is very haphazard. Trying a different sitting position for comfort with my sciatica, so that I can try to sit more comfortably and be able to do the things I want to do, need to do, etc. I'm gonna move the strand. I don't like where that is. That's so finicky, in particular. But yeah, I Excuse me. Let me pull this. Sorry. Um, yeah, uh, I don't even know. I don't even know what I was gonna say anymore. Like, I have a lot to say. A lot's been going on. Some things I talked about last week, and some things I just like have come up for me and want to talk about. So let's get into this because as much as I will yap forever, I don't know if I can sit forever. Even in this newish position, I'm going to have to adjust myself a lot. So we will see. We will see where this goes. How this works out for me. I also like. I know nobody's like in the chat live right now. Excuse me. I had like a lot to drink before this. I was trying to hydrate myself. And I have some tea here in this mug, so I'm like gonna sip from it, but it might make me burpy or whatever. Coffee is not the word I was going for. Might make me cough a lot. But we'll see. We're all just doing our best, right? The point of me streaming and doing this and like hopefully building a community. I will get back to my point previously that I was talking about, but the point of this is like not to be perfect and not to like everything's neatly organized and minimalist and perfect and clean and sterile. It's like no, this is my life. Um, this is my current existence. It's messy, just like all of us, and I'm doing my best. I'm making changes where I can, and you know, doing other work where I can't. And yeah, we're all just trying to push through, right? Um, I guess I'll get into one of the first topics I wrote down, which was like boomers and boomer parents. Like, so I know. I mean, if you're watching the stream, I'm assuming you're a millennial or Gen Z or maybe like Gen X, right before millennials. That is like what I hope will be the main demographic of people that are part of this community. I forgot to go back to my last point, but I do want to thank anyone that has been watching. I know, like I said, the chat's empty, but that's okay. Like I feel like a lot of people are watching after the live stream, which I like. Listen, as long as you're watching, that's kind of all that matters to me. I The format of this, I would like it. I mean, try to do that sentence again. The format that I would like to kind of emulate and keep throughout all this, no matter if I get more viewers or like actually grow an audience or not. Even if it's just literally me yapping, I do want this to kind of feel like a video you can put on in the back. I mean, if you're watching the VOD, if you're in the live, come say hi. I can't promise I'll be on top of like everything chat related, but I'll try. Again, the ADHD makes things a struggle sometimes, but and then my page just expanded and covered everything, so I can't see what I'm doing. Thank you, computers, technology. Um, but the point is, before I get into the boomers, thank you if you're watching, even if you're not watching live. I don't know if at some point it would be beneficial for me to put out a poll for like when is best for me to try to do this, but also like consistency is a struggle, and I still have not figured out like a day, a time, a struggle a struggle, a day, a time, a schedule that is consistent, because like my life is not consistent and a lot goes on, and it depends on how I'm feeling that day or what urgent thing comes up in that day that I have to deal with. So it is really hard for me to be consistent. But if you are watching, thank you, I appreciate it. If you can share or join the live, I would really appreciate it. But if you're here and you're watching this, I was about to say reading this, I appreciate you, and thank you. Thank you for sticking with me, seeing all the bumps and bruises, and hopefully a beautiful swan or something, beautiful nightmare. No, a beautiful monster that will pop out of this, that is kind of crazy and chaotic, but also does a lot of good. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. On to boomers. um, so yeah, demographics wise, I want this to kind of appeal to millennials. It'd be nice if I got some Gen Z. Do not expect Gen Alpha like that. I feel like that would be weird if Gen Alpha is watching this, and no, don't do that. Don't watch me. I don't need to be a role model for that age group or any age group, but the point is, like, I hope several different generations of people, and yes, even maybe some boomers, some really cool boomers who fucking get it, would be nice to have in the audience. But um and like, I know people, we've been talking about boomers and Karens and Karen boomers and all the things for years at this point. But one of the things that struck me the other day, dealing with relatives who are boomers, is like, the question for them is like, if the point of parenting, like you having kids and like, sacrificing and working and doing all the stuff for your kids, if the point of parenthood is to raise your children to have a better quality of life than you did, or, better experiences than you did, why are y'all so against those same children who are now adults changing the world for the better? Like, I don't know if it's just like the kind of Democrat mindset of, and I don't know how many of you will agree with this or have noticed this, but have you ever noticed that, like, outside of like the Democratic Socialists or like the more radical leftist Democrats that are like kind of only Democrats in name, they're actually way more progressive than liberals and Democrats. But like, you notice the establishment folks, they're always like, yeah, we got to change this. This is bad. This is really bad. We got to change this. We got to do something. Like, or, they watch MSNBC and it's like, oh, all the bad things that are happening because of this administration. Like, everything's so bad. Everything's terrible. And then, somebody, or maybe it's a younger person, maybe it's an older person, comes up with an idea or, states something to be like, hey, maybe this would be a good idea to try. Like, why don't we give up on, always doing things because of, or to benefit capitalism, and instead do things to benefit people, the people, we the people. And then the establishment folks are always like, oh no, that's too much work, or like, that's it's never going to be perfect, so we might as well not even try, or something like that. And it's just like, aren't y'all the one saying that things should change? So like, if you're going to break up the like political party, at least within America, and that's the only country I can really speak to, but it's like, okay, we have a two-party system supposedly, and you have the Republicans who are like very traditionalist, very conservative, don't want anything to change, don't want things to be better for anybody except themselves. And even then, they'll fuck over themselves just to fuck over everyone else. So it's like, really, it's like with the white people who supposedly voted two or more times, for the orange man, being like, oh, I have economic concerns. Well, you're gonna have a fuckload more of them now. Because have you seen gas? Have you seen the price of food? You have a lot more economic concerns than you did under Obama. And listen, I'm not even the biggest fan of Obama as a leftist. Like, as a leftist, yes, he's progressive, first black president, blah, 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 did a lot, gay marriage, all the things. But there were a lot of like conservative and or fucked up shit that Obama did, or establishment shit, even like removing the politicalness of it. There was a lot of things that Obama did that were not progressive, and that were not things that, like, policies that anyone who calls themselves progressive or democratic should have gone for. The main one that comes to my head is like the drone like wedding situation where he like killed like 10 members of a family at a wedding from a drone. And it was like, hey, that's not going to help the shit going on in the Swana, or formerly known as Middle East area. That's not going to help. Like, now you have a family, like a whole big ass extended family, who's pissed off at you because you killed their family members at what was supposed to be the happiest day, time, moment of their lives, you know? So like that's just creating more beef, you know? Um so I find it funny that like a lot of the white people that were like, oh, economic concerns, blah, 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 like I mean, look at the color of my skin. Obviously, like I can read the bullshit of this, but it is like even if you had economic concerns or you wanted to try someone who was not the typical politician, it's like you had to have been really dumb and like actually shooting yourself in your foot to have voted for that guy so many times. And the fact that they're all like, wait, I can't, what, I didn't know the leopard eating party, the what is it, leopard eating, the face eating leopards were gonna, I thought they were just gonna get the Mexicans. And it's like, no, babe, when you point a gun in a glass house at the people that you don't want to live in that house, it takes everybody out, including you. It may take a minute, the bullet might bounce around a bit, but eventually it's gonna come back and you finna, you know, FAFO, you know, like I don't know why you're just figuring that out now. We've been telling you for years that that was gonna happen, babe. Let me get back on the boomer thing, but like it is related because like I feel like boomers, especially like there are people in my family who, you know, they've talked about progressive topics and like tried to, you know, have progressive leanings um throughout my life and like throughout me living with them. And then like we get Zora and Mamdani and they're like, I don't like this. And I do have a bit of smoke for Mamdani with the pun intended with the wildfires. I am a little bit miffed that, you know, he recommended people stay inside. He said that they'd offer masks to people, but he didn't tell people like definitively you need to wear a mask because you do not want to be breathing this shit in. And I know like people will be triggered like, oh no, not the mask, COVID. I'm not even supposed to say that in the stream, which is also ridiculous that you can't say the name of a worldwide, uh, a literal pandemic, the virus that caused a worldwide pandemic on so many social media platforms because of the misinformation and like the craziness of what came from that time period. And it's like we still can't say it. And that like that goes also into like YouTube censoring words and TikTok censoring words. So you have to say grape, blah blah blah. And I hate that because, you know, either kids are allowed on that on a platform and they learn like what those words mean, or they shouldn't be allowed on the platform. And like if the platform is meant for people over 18, sorry, I know I'm using my hands a lot, I'm a very visual talker, um but like if a platform is not intended for children and you ban the adults on the platform from speaking using normal words to protect the children. First of all, like if you have to change language for for which you should, if children are around, you shouldn't use like you shouldn't talk like you would to another adult. But in that case, if you're gonna have a platform of adults and children are on that same platform, it's weird to me that you're like, hey, the adults can't speak like adults and like the kids are still there. Like they still know what you're talking about. So it's like you're not actually protecting kids. And in a lot of cases, like you're making up weird words like saying unalive. You're like you have to say unalive instead of killed or died or whatever. And it's just like, what is that teaching kids? That you can't say the word dead? Which how does that help a child like growing up? Part of like understanding and you know that has to do something psychologically to kids. I've gotten way off topic. I knew this would happen. Very ADHD brain, but you know, I just I'm really frustrated with boomers, which is, I have been for a while. But the fact that you know they hold up so much progress and change because they're not ready for it or they don't like how it's done or it you know it's circumventing the system and they don't like that. And it's like it's crazy that even in my family like we have, like, all of us are black and of color, um and I there are people in my family who have lived to see, like, racist policies be either enacted or, taken away at a certain point, and now are seeing those some of those policies seep back in. And, you know, if you talk to them, they'll be like, yeah, this is bad and it needs to change. This can't be allowed, blah, blah, blah. But then when you actually talk to them about, like, okay, well, what do we do to change things? Because obviously protesting is one way, but it's not the only way. And I think boycotting or, like, just a general strike is, like, a great idea in terms of getting the people in power to listen to us. And it's hard because I know nobody wants to strike in terms of, like, none of us working. And I know, like, that would mean in some cases, like, it would have to be broken up. I don't have time to get into it, but I've thought about ways that, like, you can break up a general strike for the population of essential workers, like different tiers of essential workers, where it's like, okay, you're an essential worker, you do an essential job that, like, we need you for, whether that's like running electricity or sanitation or whatever. But, maybe you don't need to be on all the time. Like, maybe you can do weekend boycotts or whatever, a week someday during the weekday boycott. And, it's not like you have to be there all the time. And there would be tiers of it. So, like, if you are an essential, if you're like a medical worker, you're a doctor, like, yeah, you may not be able to take a day off because, like, that's lives on the line. And that's fair, that's valid. But in that case, like, maybe you can donate to those, to, like, towards helping support those who are striking, if you're like a doctor and have that money. Obviously it depends on the situation, the people, the job, the workforce, etc. But there are ways that we can divide essential workers, like, or the workers that we need to keep things going, and people, the, like, less essential workers, or like the not, or those who are non-essential, even those who are, like, unemployed like me, who can be on the streets and, like, or boycotting, or, whatever it is, supporting each other, so that there's always people, like, kind of on the, like, offense, and also people who are doing jobs on the inside or whatever. Like, obviously I'm not, like, the biggest brain in the world. I don't have, like, the full plan of how this should work, but that is one idea. And I do feel like, if you have a better idea, or if somebody out there is smart enough to figure this out. There there are 8 billion plus people on this planet. So somebody out there is smart enough to, like, figure out a new system. Probably multiple somebodies. Like, there's got to be at least a few people that are like, I got the answers, or at least I have ideas what the answers are. Um, so, I mean, I'm going to move on topic wise because I've been on this forever. But it's just really frustrating that so many people, especially with boomers, like, there's so many boomers, so many of them are in the workforce or in politics or whatever, and they just never leave. They just never leave where they are because, they want to keep working. And it's like, well, you're holding up the younger generations from getting into your spot, and you're holding on to something that you're not going to be able to hold on to forever anyway. The best move would be to, like, show the younger generations, or, like, pass it on to them, so that they pass the torch, so that they can handle it or learn to handle it. But, you know boomers, for they think it's all on them, and then when other generations try to step in, they're like, no, you can't handle it. And then when we aren't able to handle things that we should be at this age, or we're not able to meet, like, the markers of adulthood that they want to see, they're like, oh, why aren't you able to do this? Because you didn't teach us this, Martha. Like, you explicitly were like, oh, no, 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 you can't handle it, let me do it. And then, like, those skills never got developed, and now you're like, oh, why can't you guys do anything? Yeah, because you didn't teach us. Like, it's insane to me the boomer logic that goes on and how much of our world is run by it, and I don't even know what the answer is because I don't want to be ageist about it. Like there have to be some boomers out there that are cool, and I've known I have to have met some of them. Like there are definitely some boomers I've met where I'm like, okay, you're not the typical boomer, but a lot of them are, and like they had so much handed to them. They went through hardships like every generation. They had so much handed to them. They had cheaper education, they had cheaper everything, housing, market, all the things, and then they fucked it up for everyone. And then they're like, "Oh, why aren't you able to get a stable life? Why can't you figure this out?" I had a family member imply that my life is easy because I'm living at home, and like everything I need goes through the people I live with. But it's like that I may not be like paying rent in the typical way, but I pay mentally, psychologically, emotionally for where I live and like the people I live with. And they don't count that. And it's very frustrating. And I will move on, I promise. This is a less frustrating topic. I just find it hilarious that Andrew Tate was arrested in this like zucchini blouse, this zucchini purple blouse, chest out. He got the V chest out. Um and capri bottoms, like culottes. Shit. He got the culottes on. He got shoes on, like these like I, they look like ladies' work shoes. I'm not even the type to be like, oh, that man's gay or like that guy's acting gay. Because what is acting gay? Any of us can act gay. I mean, it probably doesn't. I'm not the best person to like argue against that because I'm pretty hella gay and queer. But that said, like it's interesting to me that men penalize other men for not fitting or hitting the points of masculinity that they deem, but then they also don't see how harmful that is for them and like how much damage that's doing to them, and then they continue to implement it. And it's like, a lot of these, especially Andrew Tate, if you were to ask him, like toxic masculinity is hurting y'all. Like it hurts women, it hurts femmes, it hurts gays and queer people, but it hurts men the most. Like y'all are torturing each other to reach a bar that most of you are not going to be able to reach. Like, and what's crazy is if you just focused on things like if you're a straight man and you were trying to find a woman, if you focused on being appealing to the women that you were trying to seek out, you probably would have less of an issue in terms of like getting bitches, which even that, like that shouldn't be your mindset. Yeah, your mindset should be like, I want somebody who understands me, who I can feel safe with, and who I can grow with. Like that should be the desire for any person of any gender who wants to be in a relationship. It's not about the image, or it's not about I'm the most masculine man, my dick's the biggest. Who cares? Like y'all in the, and I know like there probably aren't going to be a ton of men in the audience watching this. It's such a shame because like I feel like so many men need to hear this and understand this, but they're not going to listen to someone. My hair is being weird. They're not going to listen to someone like me because, like, oh, you're a woman, you're a female, you don't understand. And it's like, first of all, I'm non binary. So, yeah, I might understand shit more than I understand ginger. Jesus Christ, I called it ginger. I understand gender issues more than you because I've had to process my own gender identity so much of my life. So like truly I probably understand more than you. And also it's like this actually bleeds into the next topic. Like the manosphere is a psyop. Like I need Gen Z men and even millennial men. I need all men really to realize like the manosphere and like the goal of being a toxic, buff built, like swallow. I was trying to say brolic. And I combined swole and brolic and made some god awful creation. Swallic is crazy, but you know the whole idea of you got to be a big masculine bulky man and like you got to terrify people, you got to, like control your women. That's not that's all toxic masculinity. And a lot of the older men in the manosphere that are pushing this message, my conspiracy theory truly is that they're trying to like infest and like put the seed in Gen Z boys and maybe even Gen Alpha boys' mind that this is how like they have to be toxic to women so that the women of Gen Z men's age in that age group are not going to be interested in Gen Z because those guys are all toxic and weird, and that leaves them open for the weird older men in the manosphere who want a younger person anyway. They're not looking for someone my age. Like I'm too old for them. This is crazy that they have a Hollywood mindset about dating women. And it's always weird to me when like older men want to date a much younger woman because like you're only into her because you ran through all the women in your age group and they know your game, but a younger woman might not, or at least might not catch on immediately. And it's like I really I see I wish AI wasn't such a like awful soul sucking resource sucking tool because like if I could, I would just like make a man uh like persona character and like AI it and like tell these men myself and be like, yeah, I'm one of you. Like this isn't working, but like here's what actually does work. And I try to like, like sleeper cell this info into them because like you know, the male loneliness thing, like a lot of people like on the feminist side, and I count myself one of them, kind of laugh and scoff at that. Like, okay, the male loneliness thing, y'all need to be lonelier. And I do agree. I do feel like some of y'all fire truck. I don't know if y'all could hear that, but I do feel like some of y'all do need to start off in jail or hell. You need to start off at like the lowest tier and then work your way out, do good deeds to like join general pop because some of you it's like you so like I can't even put it together. Like some of y'all are just so cooked brain wise and like how you function and how you talk and interact on the internet that it's like no wonder you're alone. No wonder y'all are dying alone. Like, yeah, some of you may need to die alone. And the point isn't like, oh, men dying of suicide. That's so crazy. That is so crazy. But the fact that that happens, like I don't wish that on anyone. As somebody who has depression and like deals with very dark thoughts, I've had SI most of my life and I still sometimes do. And like I don't wish that on anybody, even a man, even like the worst men in the world. I don't wish that on people because like that doesn't feel good to me, and like I know what that's like, and it spreading that misery isn't going to make me feel better, right? At the same time, I feel like some of y'all need to learn the lesson of being alone and working on yourself so that, and like look, having a bit of introspection so that you can be a better person to your partner, a better boyfriend or husband or whatever to your partner, instead of like what a lot of men do, which is just like put everything on their partner, especially if they're female, and then like she gets burnt out and tired and leaves them and they're like, I don't understand, why don't women like me? And it's like because you're not considerate, you're not a good person, and maybe if you worked on yourself you could be. So I don't think the male loneliness thing is entirely a bad thing. The problem is a lot of these men that are dealing with that, they don't have that moment of introspection, they don't look inward or try to better themselves mentally, not just physically. A lot of men and mass folks, y'all are all about the physical. Let me get them lifts, let me arm day, leg day, and y'all not working on up here. And up here is the part that's actually going to like attract women. Because if you're just a muscle head, but you say misogynistic or shitty things, or like you have the emotional intelligence of a 13-year-old boy, no one is going to want to be with, no woman will ever want to be with you. But if you actually work on yourself and like, even if you have attributes that like, if you, let's say you have depression, you have moments where you're like less fun to be around. If you have other aspects of yourself that you can build up, like maybe you're really creative, maybe you're really funny, maybe you know you cook really well, a woman or a partner, whoever you're interested in, will find that attractive and be more willing to like be understanding and even help you with the parts of yourself that you're not as on point with. But like y'all are literally shooting yourself in the foot, just like conservatives, just like MAGA, and then blaming the like everyone else around you for that. And it's like, no, you shot yourself in the foot, bro. You have to take responsibility for that. I've been talking about this too long though. I need to move on. I am glad to say though, I've figured out, I think this has been pretty comfortable. And I'm like able to move around a little bit and like keep myself limber. But yeah, this may have to become a weekly thing until like we actually get news confirming or denying. But where's Micho? Like, where's Waldo? I'm so lame. No, I'm not. I'm fucking funny. You better laugh. Can you imagine? It was like, you better fucking laugh. No. Yeah, where's Mitch? Where is he? I don't think he's alive. And I know there were the Kentucky governor or somebody came out and he was doing an interview with Katie Couric or something. And he basically said like 2 different agencies that are not state related have been like, bro's gone. And, for me personally, I won't believe it until I see him in the casket or like see some ashes or something. But I don't think he's alive at this point, and or I guess he is unalived. um, and good. That man has done absolutely no good throughout his entire life. He's been an old, stubborn ass turtle, like a lot of people of his generation, and good riddance, If he is still alive, I mean, time's running out. You ain't gonna get lucky another time. But I do believe he's not among the living, and that deserves a cheers from us all. So, um, on a really, all these topics are related, but they're really trying to kill us, huh? Like with the cyclospora stuff. I mean, I'm not even surprised with all the cuts that like Elon Muskrat. I love to call him, or I should call him Elaine Muskrat. Thank you. I'll be here all week. I'll see myself out after that. That was pretty lame. That was pretty lame, but you know what? I'm not afraid to be cringe. I've been cringe to some extent all my life, and I know Gen Z is like, oh, we can't be cringe, we can't have fun anymore because someone might find it cringe. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm gonna be cringe my entire life, and I'm gonna have a great time. And you can laugh at me, or you can laugh with me, and like loosen up a bit. I recommend the latter. But yeah, I mean, listen, as a Black American, we've been known they've always been trying to kill us, especially like if you're Black or indigenous or otherwise of color. They always been trying to kill us, but now they do seem to be like okay with killing white people, because like I'm not saying brown people don't eat salads, but like salads are like firmly a white people sport. I called it a white people sport. No. But yeah, it is like heavily a white woman activity. I don't know a lot of white men that eat salads like that, although I hope some of y'all need to, because that's why you in the toilet for 45 minutes, Connor. Like, eat some veggies, get some roughage and some fiber in your ass, well, going into your ass, and then like maybe you won't spend 45 minutes to an hour on the toilet. I don't know any femme or gay that has to spend that long on the toilet. Just saying. Obviously, we have to be careful with eating vegetables and produce, and like, even if it says pre-washed, I wouldn't buy a bagged salad for a little bit, for a while. Um, even if it says pre-washed. And if you do, you definitely have to wash it on your own and like scrub it, get that lye soap, that that dial soap. Oh my god, that's such an old YouTube reference. I don't even think anyone will know or remember what that is. That was so niche. But yeah, like they are actively trying to kill us and they have been for a while. But I think for a lot of white people especially, it was like, oh, they're just gonna kill the brown people. We'll be fine. And it's like, again, no, if you shoot guns in a glass house, the whole house comes down on you. It doesn't just kill the people that you want. The effects of allowing something bad to happen to one group of people or target, sorry, my ear got uncomfortable, target one group of people usually means at some point it will boomerang around back at you and harm you or harm people that like you weren't intending to target, you know, because we're fun fact, we're all fucking connected. We're all in this bitch together. So instead of fighting each other all the time, like, look, some people do need to, you know, you do need to square up against some people. But if we work to look at more commonalities rather than what divides us, we would be unmatched. Like, we would truly be unstoppable. And our society, I would say, within America, but also outside of America, would be a lot more healthy. We'd see a lot more growth and benefit if we stopped trying to listen to divides and like allow ourselves to be divided and realize like we are not that different from each other. Even if you're politically or whatever, geographically, regionally different from me, we all breathe air. We all drink water or need water, which is also why fuck AI and fuck data centers. But and we all need to be social. We are social beings. We need each other. So like I don't know. I my next topic is actually like all these topics kind of flow into each other. I love that I planned that out. I figured that out. But like real talk, what are we going to do? Like when are we getting our shit together to face these issues as a collective, not just as like progressives or you know whoever, as a people? Because like again, like I said with the striking, like the thing is that I think a lot of people, especially in America, we've given up a lot of our power, collective power as the people. We accept a lot and we allow our political leaders to get away with a lot. And I do just I feel like when are we going to stop letting that happen? And you know, I do think it is on my generation and Gen X and Gen Z to continue that fight or start that fight for the older generations and for the younger generations to pick up the mantle and continue that fight. But we have to start like we should have started like truly 10 years ago, maybe even like 20 years ago, maybe like 400 years ago. I don't a long time ago. We should have been doing this a long time ago. But like look, we should have been doing this a long time ago. And the people in power need us to hate each other and fight and be distracted more than we need them to like be up there doing nothing. Like I'm so sorry. Rich people don't do shit. They don't work hard. Like they actually the reason why they're rich is because they were basically able to pay poorer people to do the work for them. And that has been the story of America. I got into it with a another family member the other day who like I was saying, you know, housing should be free and they were like, "Housing should what?" Huh? You know, and it's like how why is that so radical? Like and what's crazy is this family member is religious, like very fucking religious. The religiosity is insane, and it's like, do you can't possibly, as a religious person who believes God is in control of everything, you can't possibly think that God put us on this earth, you know, gave us the Garden of Eating. I can't even take credit for that joke. That's from a chip brand, but you really think God put us on this earth and gave us everything we need to survive and succeed: water, food, the ability to grow, the ability to learn, to use our brain, the pink or gray matter in this hard headed ass thing. And you think He gave us all of that just so that we could pay taxes? Because that sounds stupid to me. Supposedly He said, let there be light. He didn't say, let there be light bills. Like, why is that so acceptable to older people? And why is it so radical to be like, yeah, everybody should be able to just live somewhere safe and have housing? Why is that crazy? Why is that crazy for everyone to have like a standard living wage or Medicare or not well, healthcare, you know? Why is that such a radical idea? And what's crazy to me, this is a whole other side tangent, but like religious folks really be like, oh, especially Christians are like, oh, Jesus is the way. Jesus was a radical killed by the state. If you want to push that point further, Jesus was a radical killed by the state and persecuted and killed by the state, and that was enforced by cops. Granted, they were Roman soldiers, but at the like they didn't have what was called cops then, but back then the cops were basically soldiers, Roman soldiers. And so Jesus was a radical who hung out with prostitutes, fed the poor, healed the sick and wounded, all that shit. Was killed by the state, persecuted by the state, killed by the state, killed by cops, and y'all Christians today are pro cop. Not only that, you're pro capitalism, you're pro people starving in the streets, and you don't think saying, you know what, just feed people, or the fact that churches take tithings, what they call tithings from their the people in their church. I forgot the word for it. The churchians, the church members, and they're taking that money. Like, yes, if you're working, sure, whatever, what is 10% of your whatever. But if you're, a lot of the times it's literally old people that are on pensions and retired that are still tithing, and the church isn't like, oh, no, save that, you're old, like, you've given your whole life, why don't you just, we got you from now. And the church is like, no, we need a pastor needs a new Bentley, and also we need new seating. Are y'all okay? Like, are y'all good? Because that like, listen, America is a scam within a scam. It's literally a nesting doll of scams and cults. But like the fact that these generations of people do not like, none of that enters, they have no thoughts on that. None of that enters their head of like, wait a minute, why am I still giving tithings? And like I'm on a reduced income, or like I'm disabled and the church ain't doing shit to help me. None of y'all think about that. It's all like, but Jesus gonna save us. Like, also, on a separate note, it's crazy for Black Americans to believe that worshiping the God of our enslavers, or the people who enslaved our ancestors, is gonna do shit for us. Like, make it make sense. Anyway, look, in terms of striking, I don't have the answers, and I don't know. I'm not like an organizer in that sense, or where I can be like, all right, y'all do this, y'all do that, y'all in the back, whatever. But my point is, there are enough people on this planet, and there's enough people in this country who are smart enough to figure that out and work together. And we need to get started. Like, things are like the worst I've ever seen it. Like, to the point that the people that voted for the Orange Man are like, shit, I might have fucked up. I might have fucked up. Damn. We need to start, like, I don't want to say working with those people, but we do need to start like kind of enticing them to the, side of sanity and sense, and like have them be like, what do we do to fix this? Because like protesting, I'm always supportive of protesting unless it's like the scheduled plan shit. That's not gonna help. Like, setting up and planning a protest that the government, the state knows about, you have to register and give your information to. I'm not with that anymore. That was for 2016. to 2020, and now we can put that in the dustbin. Now we have to have organized, not scheduled protests. Like we need to like have be flooding the streets, and maybe even destroying property, which like I'm not even saying that I'm down for, but the government and the state only values property. It does not value human lives. So I don't know, maybe some banks windows need to be broken into, or I mean they usually use that as a meaning to or a way to like implement martial law and try to have control. And we do have to fight against that. Like we do have to resist that and find ways around that. Like if they try to do a fuck, what's it called, like the when they say you can't go out after curfew, like a they say like you can't go out after 9 p.m., like all of us need to be on the streets like, okay, we out here now, what you finna do? And like, yes, in a lot of ways that means people will be harmed, like by police, by the state. And I'm not necessarily advocating for that, but that is really where I feel like white folks can be the front line, because like I'm not saying the state won't beat y'all asses, they absolutely will, but they'll feel bad about it. It'll look worse for them if they beaten up white people, just like we saw with any of the Black Lives Matters protests or any protest, or like even the ICE killings. Like it doesn't look good for the state if they're harming white people. So you're in a weird way, like you're not insulated from that, but you do have more protection than someone like me protesting. And I think y'all need to, like I've been saying this for years, y'all need to use your white privilege to get some shit done. And it's more than just knitting pussy hats or like going again to pre-planned protests. Like we need to do some out of the box shit. And again, I'm not calling for violence for legal reasons. This is all hypothetical, metaphorical, and not to be implemented. Not to be, not to call for violence or destruction, but something needs to be done. Something needs to change, and it's like we can't all just be on the internet blogging and posting. Like that doesn't do shit. We need to be boycotting. We need to be working together to make sure that if we are boycotting, everybody who needs things from the places that we're boycotting finds alternative sources and can turn to their community for help. We need to be working together to help each other and support each other so that we can all fight, you know? So I'm going to move on to my last couple of topics. Sorry, my ears are, it's crazy. My ears are being more problematic, or like the headphone is being more of an issue than me sitting. I am glad at least I figured out the right seating position. I'm actually going to edit that real quick and put that down there. Um, in terms of the wildfires, like if you, I mean, I don't know, unless you're like, I guess maybe in the South and like didn't really get affected by it. I feel like everybody is aware of like the wildfires, and it's not stupid fuck ass President Orange is like, oh, it's Canada's fault. We should tax Canada. No, dumbass. The fire was also on our side. It was in the Midwest, like the Wisconsin, Minnesota, Chicago areas. Those sides of the country were also on fire. It wasn't just Canada. So it's, I mean, he would do something stupid or say something stupid like that anyway, but it's like if you have even a little bit of common sense, you would know like those parts, that like that part of the country and Canada are right next to each other. So something's happening on that side in Canada, it's going to reflect on the other side in America. We're, crazy thought, we're all connected, like what I said earlier. Everything is connected. What happens in one part of the world still affects the other part of the world, even if they're not close to each other, but especially if they are, it is all connected. So what you do affects everyone. That's why it's not just YOLO, live your life, fuck all y'all, fuck them kids. Like it's we all have to move as one. We all have to work as one and think as one. And like that doesn't mean you can't think differently or have a different opinion or whatever. But if that opinion is causing setbacks and not allowing us to do the shit that we need to do, then I don't know, you need to advance or get, catch up or something, because we can't be held back by like the people that don't want change anymore. And as far as the wildfires, like, again, what disappointed me with Mamdani was that he didn't specifically say y'all need to be masking. Like, the air quality became purple like that first day into the second day when, like, it was like it looked like fog out. The air quality went into purple quality, or air quality level, which is like 250 or something like that. It's a crazy high number, and it basically means like don't go out. Like, you have to wear a mask if you do. And I was like literally one of the few people I saw wearing a mask, because I think as New Yorkers, the last time we dealt with a wildfire was in 2024. And that was like the first time we've dealt with something like that. And I think a lot of people, for some reason, thought like that's just going to be a one time thing. It's not going to be like a recurring issue. And it's like, well, climate change is changing things really rapidly. So I kind of knew like, yeah, this is going to be something we have to deal with more. But I hoped that maybe this was a one and done. But I think like a lot of people have set themselves up for failure, and like the government has set itself up to for its people to die, or at least be harmed, get severe harm from this, because like you can't be breathing that shit in. The parts per million, or the particles that were in the air, are really damaging, and not like it. I don't know if this is a good equivalent, but like you wouldn't stay in a room with like if there were like 10 people smoking in it, right? And I don't even know if that's like, I'm sure with the air quality it was probably more like 200 or like 100 people smoking in a room. But like if you wouldn't stay in a room, or like stay unmasked in a room where there was like a ton of smoke, I'm not sure why you would do that. You wouldn't do that outside. Like you have to take care of yourself, especially because they are attacking, our administration is attacking healthcare. And like we in America, we've already run on a system of, it's not actually, health is not actually to get you to feel better or be better. It's about making as much money off of you. So we're already in that kind of capitalist mindset loop with medical stuff. And that's only going to get worse if y'all don't take care of yourselves, or like are breathing in like wildfire fumes, or like not wearing masks. I know, look, I'm not saying I love wearing masks. Like sometimes, especially in the summer, it's annoying. Sometimes it hurts behind my ears because I have hearing aids. So I have to wear the hearing aids that are also in my ear, and have to deal with the weight of the mask on my ear. It doesn't always feel good. But you know what? I haven't gotten sick as often as a lot of people have, either with cold or with COVID, or other stuff. Um, and that's enough evidence for me to mask for the rest of my life. And I don't know why some of y'all are so like, wearing a mask, like, is against my freedom. Like, your freedom to live a healthy longer life. Like, I'm so confused. What is wrong with you? Like, the whole anti-medication, or all anti-medicine, anti-science of it, as if we haven't rehashed this out. Like, this was all hashed out in the 1900s to like 1999, and then in the 2020s we're like, no, science isn't real. We don't need that. I believe in holistic, eating lavender leaves, or shoving celery up my like, that'll keep me healthy and safe. And it's like, no, like, the reason we have come this far in medicine and science is because there's been a lot of deaths on the way to there, and that we had to learn from, even in terms of like lead poisoning, or arsenic in paint a long time ago, in Victorian era paint, or mercury, like mercury hat makers using mercury, like all those things that we have learned, that we now know, like, oh, lead is bad. Oh, don't put arsenic in your paint. Oh, don't handle mercury without the proper tools, or else it messes up your brain. Like, we all had to learn that at the cost of human lives. So like the fact that we're rehashing science and like medicine is fucking insane to me, because like we already did this, we already learned the lesson, and B, for y'all to act like, oh, things are changed now, we don't need science, we don't need to wash our hands, we don't need medicine. Like, are you dumb or stupid, mate? Which one? So anyway, the point is, if and unfortunately most likely when we have another wildfire situation, wear your goddamn masks. Like, save yourselves. Like, actually think about your longevity and stop living in the now. Like, it's fine to live in the now every once in a while, but like you actually have to, take care of yourself to be able to live into the future. And whether you like it or not, facts don't care about your feelings. Masks do keep us safe from both wildfires and from viruses. So if you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. Sucks to suck, I guess. But you know anyway, I am gonna wrap up because it's getting to the hour. um I wanted to kind of pose a question for anyone watching. I know, again, not a ton of you, but I value the people that are watching, even if it's like two people. I value my audience, and I want to know, like, or I want y'all to think about, like, what are ideas you have about what we do next as a country to take on the issues that we're dealing with. I mean, obviously, a lot of the issues stem from one problem, mainly the administration, especially with the cyclospora, because they undid all the regulations that allowed us to check for that shit, and that's why it's everywhere now. And they're like, "Whoops, I guess regulations do help." It's like, yeah, no shit, jackass, fucking RFK. Why would you listen to someone who's obviously so riddled with parasites they're using him as a puppet? Whole other conversation. But like, what are the ideas? Or if it's not just protesting and boycotting, what are things that we can do to, even if we can't fully stop things, put a slight delay in the cogs of the system? And how do we fight back? Like, what are ways that individually and like as a community, as collectives, as neighborhoods, can we do to fight back? And also, not just fight back, but take care of each other, and like, you know make sure that we're all okay, and that we're all able to get through whatever the future brings together. So those are kind of the, I don't know if they're leading questions, but like the questions I would love for anyone watching or seeing this to ponder. Um, I also, like, in terms of consistency, I'm gonna try. I can't promise you anything. I Look, life is lifing, and it's hard. But I am gonna try to maybe do a stream at the end of the week. I think maybe having Monday as like my main stream day, and then like later in the week as like the potential stream, whatever, might work better for me. So at least I'll have one stream a week, but also maybe there's a potential for another one if I can do it. Um, but yeah, let me get something to drink. Mm, not me spilling. No. Um, but yeah, I also want to like try to figure out doing an intro, try to figure out, some sort of, pizzazz, some sort of design intro to the live and or outro. Or I know you can like put a BRB kind of thing and, figure that out. I don't know how likely this is to actually happen, but I'd like to start making shorts. Both of like my stream content, but also of like skit ideas that I have and like can kind of easily bang out and hopefully edit and post. there's a lot brewing. There's a lot in progress that I'm working on, and I look forward to it coming to the light of day at some point. And I do, even if I struggle with consistency, I do really like doing this. I do want to, keep doing this and see where it can go with it. Because this is fun for me, and I don't really have anything better going on right now. So, if you're still here, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the VOD or the VOD, appreciate you. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. And yeah, I don't know. Don't get sick from the cyclospora stuff. Don't eat bagged lettuce or bagged salads for a bit. And look, I know people already struggle to get, like, I don't know why my headsets have been so uncomfortable this session, but I know we already all struggle to get enough fiber and veggies in our diet, but there are safe ways to do that without exposing yourself to salads or bagged salads or the cyclospora. So take care of yourselves, take care of your community and your neighbors. And maybe I'll see you at the end of the week. We'll see. If not, I'll see you next week. But yeah, it's been real. Catch y'all later. Bye.